The hallway was bathed in an eerie, flickering light as I stood there, my heart pounding in my chest. The intercom had crackled to life just moments ago, the principal's voice trembling with fear as she announced the school was going into lockdown. It wasn't just any lockdown. It was the kind that sent shivers down your spine, the kind that made you question if you'd ever see the light of day again. I was in Mrs. Thompson's classroom, English class, when the announcement had come. Our teacher had rushed to lock the door, her hands trembling as she fumbled with the key. The look in her eyes mirrored the terror that gnawed at my insides. "We need to be quiet, very quiet," she whispered to us, her voice barely audible. "No matter what happens, don't make a sound." We nodded, our faces pale as ghosts. The classroom lights were off, and the only illumination came from the pale moonlight seeping through the closed blinds. I sat in the back row, my mind racing with thoughts of what could be happening outside these walls. Minutes turned into hours, and the silence was deafening. The intercom remained silent, no updates, no reassurances, just an unsettling void. We huddled together, trying to comfort one another in our shared dread. Then a sudden crash echoed from the hallway, making us jump in our seats. The sound was followed by a series of heavy, deliberate footsteps that grew louder and closer with each passing moment. Mrs. Thompson placed a trembling finger to her lips, her eyes pleading with us to remain silent. We watched the classroom door with bated breath as the footsteps drew nearer, the darkness outside the window deepening. The doorknob rattled violently, as if someone was trying to force their way in. Panic surged through the classroom, and I could feel the tension in the air as we clung to our desperation. The door held firm, but the fear in our hearts intensified as we realized the threat was real. Then, as suddenly as it had started, the rattling stopped. The footsteps receded, fading into the distance. We exchanged terrified glances, but Mrs. Thompson motioned for us to stay put. We had no choice but to obey. Hours dragged on, and the night seemed endless. The intercom remained silent, and the outside world was cloaked in an eerie stillness. We were prisoners in our own school, trapped in a nightmare